I think many of you, may know, recently I went,
cataract surgery.
So this eye, quite clear. So as soon as you see some cover after that surgery, I think 3 hours, 3 hours. So then the doctor himself used to come to open that. So as soon as open, very sharp. So I told the doctor, now I can see number of your
eyebrows.
And then since then, when I met some Tibetan, of course naturally, some old people, men, women, like that. So then I told them, now I explained about the surgery, and I told them, now I can see those old, especially old women, the number of wrinkles. So they said, a few days ago, you see, one BBC interview, the interviewer, one lady, so I told, that. So she jokingly responds me, I told, this I see your number of your wrinkles. This cannot see. So she then respond me, she prefer this eye. So thank you, Rajiv. Many years, our friend. So you arranged this. Now I think last how many years annually?
6.
Fifth.
6.
Oh. Okay. So thank you very much, and also your staff member. Thank you. Five, 6 years, everybody getting older. That's a natural process. So no force stop that. That sort of moving, second by second. No force can stop that. Time always changing, always moving. What we can do is utilize properly or not time. That's up to us. So, whether believer or non-believer, we should use our time properly, meaningful way. Too much self-centered attitude and try to get some kind of satisfaction, that extreme self-centered sort of mind. The long run, negative consequences always happen. So we should avoid the short-sighted sort of interest, importance of
short-term
sort of interest. So every our movement, our verbal action, physical action, even mental action, ultimately depend on the motivation. So, whether believer or non-believer, we should look seriously or examine our motivation in our daily life. That's, I think, very, very important. So then, so with sincere motivation, more compassionate motivation, respect other, and develop sense of genuine concern of others' well-being. Then your verbal action, physical action, everything, then becoming virtuous or good action. Through that way, days and weeks, months, years, you utilize time meaningful way. So the final day come. We feel happy. My life spent something meaningful. There are no regret. Otherwise, you may be very rich, even billionaire, very powerful person. But at that time, then feel some kind of anxiety. Already know the lifelong, or the result of lifelong hard work, money, remain in the bank. Now person knows, no longer use. And friends, and even, and particularly what a power. That moment, you know fully, now no longer any help. So, the other hand, also at that time, I think those people who show us, very rich, very powerful, and I say they no concern about truth, about honesty, through various methods, become powerful, become very rich. That kind of self-confidence is based on false, like that. So, the important is warm-heartedness. So that's, I mean, what's the concern, and also I committed make more awareness to my audience wherever I go. I always inform them the ultimate richness is here, not here. Richness here combined with rich brain is very good. Without this, just a brain, marvelous brain, lot of visions, lot of ambitions. The more ambition, more desire, more worry, more anxiety. So that's main thing. Then, second thing, the promotion of religious harmony. And actually these two things, ahimsa is India's tradition. I think we Tibetan, before Buddhism reached there, I think our ancestors, I think, more warrior. Good horse, strong horse, and then sword, and go here and there. Whenever we find some opposition, crush. Like Mongolian and Tibetan. I think in Central Asia, I think through centuries, I think we remain like that. Then Buddhism reached Tibet. I think whole Tibetan way of life changed. So I think one critic, the generations, I think Tibetan, with too much emphasis about spirituality, neglect other things. So some young Tibetan, they have that kind of critics. To some extent, I think true. Some Tibetans, from Tibet. They actually, telling me we too small population, large area. So then think, around, I think before 1950, I think about around, 100,000 monks, and I think several thousand nuns remain celibates. Right? Celibate. So about 100,000, one generation, if they marry, produce children, I think within that generation, it can multiply, I think 700,000, or maybe 10,000. So generation go that way. I think about 1,000 years ago, one Tibetan master used to survey Tibetan population, and at that time, about 10 millions. Then next 1,000 years, it reduced around 6 million. So in a way, past is past. Never return. So now, forget about Tibet. Now look, world. Our fate also, you see, due to the global level change. And even today, many parts of the world, a lot of bloodshed, a lot of suffering. All these due to lack of moral principle. Just think, power, money. Through that way, the poorer section of people always suffer. At global level, national level. Within this country also. The poorer section, millions of poorer section of people, Indian, still, facing difficulties. So that not due to lack of education, not due to lack of proper system. I think India, a democratic country, very, very stable country, very good. But the number of people in poorer section of people. Or a few years ago, one occasion, I returning from Orissa to Delhi. So at the airport, I wait. I think one hour like that. So one parliament member also waiting there. So then I told him, oh, in Orissa, the nearby Tibetan settlement, some local village, very, very poor condition. I told him, oh, very poor. So government should do something. Then he told me, the system of policy there, special because of that
provision.
The provision, so look after them. But people, suppose implementing these, not carry properly. And sometimes it's completely neglected. So he told me that. It's true. So these also, this country, 1,000-year-old, these moral principles, you see, because of the carry. But this clear indication is not adequate. Then these moral values, if we rely on religious teachers, it automatically becomes limited. So now, my desire, or many my friends, similar view, now through education, you see, we have to make some effort, introduce people from kindergarten these moral values. The moral value, not something holy thing, not that way, for their own benefit, for their own happy life, and benefit for society. I think now scientific sort of findings, very clear. Those people who have warm-hearted mind, their mind more calm. That's very good for their physical. Too much anxiety, too much greed, too much anger, automatically bring fear, hatred. That's very bad for our health. Then I think sleep also is some connection. Yesterday, the driver, oh, let's not miss you notice, you know. Yesterday, I always see some sort of rubbish talk with the driver. So I inquired that sort of dog, because of that driver, quite thin. I asked, how many hours you sleep? He said, 4 hours. And I asked, is sufficient? He said, sufficient. I don't think sufficient. So then, yesterday afternoon, when I returned, I told him, now please, at least 6 hours should have sleep. For 6 hours, I told him. So, the warm-heartedness creates or brings self-centered, self-confidence. With self-confidence, not blind self-confidence with reasons, then you can act transparent. If you carry your life honest, truthful, then nothing to hide. And you can carry everything transparently. That creates trust among our community. Trust brings friendship. Then you feel always happy. Look here, smile. Look here, smile. Good. If you yourself remain a little bit distant from other, then occasionally some artificial smile. Otherwise, no genuine smile, isn't it? Look here, little suspicion. Look here, oh, little suspicion. Then finally, you really, deep inside, you will have some sort of what's it?
Loneliness.
So ahimsa means not just a physical level, not harming other. No, ahimsa, actually non-violence. Any action from genuine, compassionate mind, that action is non-violence. Any action out of fear, out of anger, hatred, or jealousy, then these actions are violence action. So, when we talk about non-violence, ultimately related with our warm-heartedness. That's India's tradition. Then second, religious harmony. If you have the sense, respect other, if you have sense of concern of others' well-being, then automatically develop sense of respect them, respect their right. Through that way, genuine religious harmony automatically comes. So I think these two actually last, I think, at least 4,000 year old India's tradition. It's something very, very sort of
Admirable.
a very, very, very useful sort of tradition. And not only ancient tradition, but also very relevant to today's world. So India, most populated democratic country, I think you have potential to show rest of the world different religious faith. Anyway, people with different religious faith live together in the spirit of spiritual brotherhood, sisterhood. And then whenever we face some problem, through non-violent way, try to solve that. So, as far as I think Tibet is concerned, I always refer Indians, our guru, we are Chela. So now, perhaps, I think, too much, maybe too much.
Too much hope.
Or maybe too much
Expectation.
unrealistic hope. I think you are respected guru. In this field, you can be guru for rest of the world. I really feel. So first, you yourself implement these things sincerely. One of my criticism, many Indian, just yesterday I mentioned those people who have no hesitation involve corruption. I think many of them in the morning in their room, puja. Offering some flower in front of Ganesh or front of Shivaji or Brahma, or some cases even Buddha. But no hesitation. In the real life, no hesitation. Exploit and hypocrisy and corruption. That's a big contradiction. Only two ways. Either accept God and be sincere, or deny God and worship money and go all sorts of corruptions. Okay. But it seems many Indian, I think, try to both. That I think impossible. Impossible. So first, you yourself should be clean. Then these 1,000-year-old tradition makes clear to rest of the world. I think particularly those areas, the conflict in the name of different religion. I think Indian people, including Indian Muslims, can do Shia, Sunni, make some effort. I think very possible. That's my dream. Maybe too much hope, I don't know. So in any way, you see, time is now, Kasota, time is always moving. So you should not have the sort of feeling or view, last 60 years after independence, we managed well, so we will continue this. Okay. I think that's wrong. Time changing, situation changing. So you must think about the new situation, about new opportunity or new danger. That's, I think, very important. Okay, now too much, my talk. Now, part of promotion of religious harmony. It is useful, including non-believer. I think worthwhile, no harm to know some ideas about Buddhism. And then particularly in this country, it's the home of Buddha, home of Buddhism. So it is very, very happy. I, as a Chela of Indian Guru, I'm very happy. Now more and more Indian really, truly showing interest about learning Buddhist philosophy. That's very, very encouraging. Very good. So my lecture on Buddhism, almost like a report to our teacher, our guru. So suppose you are examining the student jealous knowledge, like that. Now I want to tell you all major religious tradition. Major means those religious tradition with certain sort of theology or philosophical sort of views, philosophical background or yeah. So those major religious tradition, in spite different philosophical view, but practice or real message is concerned, same. Practice of love, compassion, with that forgiveness, reconciliation, and self-discipline, contentment. Many Indian leaders, I think one obvious example, Mahatma Gandhi, I think his lifestyle, very simple. And many Indian spiritual leaders, their daily life, including food, is a very sort of contented way.
Simple.
Very good. Right. Simplicity, like that. Then sometimes you see people get some kind of impression, Muslim, Islamic tradition, a little bit militant, particularly these days in the West, that kind of sort of impression. That's, I think, totally wrong. Since my childhood, I know some Muslims of Tibetan Muslim. Very, very gentle. There are two groups of Muslims, one from China, one from Ladakh, from India. So this group from Ladakh, they're very, very gentle, very gentle. No record quarrel by those Indian Muslims. I think at least 4 centuries they are there. And then, only problem, my youngest brother, Ngari Rinpoche, when he was very young, one Muslim, red hair and red beard. Right?
Beard.
The Ngari Rinpoche, very small little boy. So first time to see one human face with red beard, he very much sort of
Scared.
Scared. Scared, yes, scared. That's the only problem. Otherwise, very nice, these people. So that's our sort of experience in the past, before 1959. Then came to India. I often visit Ladakh. I always meet Ladakhi Muslim. And also one time, what's a place called Tortuk Marve. Tortuk, the Muslim, very border with Pakistan, Muslim community. They're very gentle. And in fact, one Muslim leader is expressed to the public, sort of welcoming sort of ceremony. He mentioned anyone who claim Muslim, who create bloodshed, right? That's actually no longer genuine Muslim practitioner. And as a Muslim practitioner, Islam practitioner, you should sort of extend your love to entire creatures. So wonderful. And many other traditions. And then Christianity. Obviously. I always was telling on this planet, greatest contribution regarding education and health, particularly education, Christian brothers, sisters, I think done greatest contribution, not Buddhist, not Hindu, not Muslim, isn't it? It's true. Occasionally they also carry some conversion, right? Missionary work. That's a little bit problem. So, like Mother Teresa and her follower, really dedicated well-being of poorer section of people, poor of the poor. Right? Oh, wonderful. All their enthusiasm come from the message of Jesus Christ. Like that. So the practice is concerned, if we sincerely practice, sincerely follow their own sort of tradition, and all, same potential to bring useful life, to bring inner peace, like that. And then I always make clear, the religion very much related with our emotion. So it is better, safer, keep one's own religious faith. Change religion, not easy. But some cases, individual cases, you see the different mental disposition. Therefore, to some people, different religious tradition may be more suitable, more effective. That's up to them. Like Tibetan, majority are Buddhist, but some Tibetan adopted Islam religion. There are last few hundred years, and in 20th century, some Christians, some Tibetan become Christian. Okay, like that. In such case, it is very, very important to very, very carefully sort of examine, and bit long period. Then once you fully convince the new religious tradition is more suitable, then individual right, like that. Then now, Buddha Dharma. I am Buddhist. So maybe some of my explanation may be a little bit prejudice.
No.
Prejudice. Please you watch or examine. Now in Buddhism, Buddhist tradition, Pali tradition, that it seems those teaching of Buddha public level, that's eventually the Pali tradition, you see, collect these things. So there are Katusum, Katuasum,
the three phases of a collection of Buddha's teachings.
Vinaya, Abhidhamma, and correcting Dodi. Karsa.
Sudriyana.
Soon after Buddha passed away, Kashyapa Bhikshu, and then Ananda, Gungao, and Nyawakor Karsa. What do you call? Vinaya, Nangeti Nyawakor Karsa.
Upali.
Upali. So that publicly sort of recorded, and history books mention these things. Then, like Nagarjuna, and also Maitreya, or sometimes we call Maitreya Buddha, sometimes we call Maitreya Bodhisattva. 동아 투문공원도 저기는 배시 메시아 부지사도 사리샤.
When we look at
동안
from the
Right.
common point of Sutrayana and Tantrayana, then we can consider Maitreya as a bodhisattva.
So I think 메시아 부지사도. I really don't know. I think I want to ask some scholars, please carry some research. Because recently I read the 너도 공지 가서 가.
Sandin Nimochan Sutra.
The commentary about that book wrote by we usually consider Chinese scholar, but actually Korean, Wenchik. So his sort of commentary about that sort of book, 3 volumes in Daegu, I read. So they mentioned the name of parent of Metsiya. So 간전 전쟁 전문 뭐 여부도 이런 자 아니나. I think the godly, the Bodhisattva Metsiya, I don't think father and mother. Like Sukhavadi, usually you see, consider the people born from lotus. I don't think so. In that commentary, the great scholar, a Korean scholar, the Korean knows, you see, his name and the commentary also. So it mentioned the name, the name of mother of Maitreya, also Chama. Chame 부인자 Chamba says the question.
It's the female aspects of Maitreya. Because of that, being the son of female Maitreya or loving kindness mother, he has acquired the name Maitreya or loving kindness.
So in any way, it is well known about 5 texts taught by Maitreya. So then, like Aya Asanga, Bosumant, and many other scholars, you see, made commentary about the Maitreya sort of what's his text. And many scholars, many Buddhist scholars, you see, take quotation from that. And then, other hand, Nagarjuna. That's well known as a human being. And Indian, South Indian. I usually see teasing to North Indian. Most of the Nalanda Buddhist scholars, most of them seems come from South India. So those great logicians, great sort of debater, most of them come from South India. So I usually see expressing, generally Indian brain is very, very sort of wonderful brain. And secondly, South Indians, special brain. Oh, you from South Indian? 우리 구시라도 말해라. So you see, so that group now accept the Sanskrit sort of tradition. Usually, sometimes we call Bodhisattva Yana or Mahayana. That also is a true teaching of Buddha. Then, obviously, in these Mahayana texts mention the Buddhistadwa, our Lukuchara, another Buddhistadwa, the Manjushri, Maitreya, Saini Bukhasare, Samindabhatra,
Siddhikapa.
Chindigarba, and so on. So obviously, like the Heart Sutra, very beginning, you see, it mentioned there's some discussion between Avalokiteshvara, Bodhisattva Avalokiteshvara, and Shariputra. So obviously, the common people, you see, cannot see these things. So it is some special kasota.
Those who have pure karmic connections.
So naturally, Buddha taught like Panchaparamita Sutra, some selected sort of audience, not publicly. So therefore, these things are not recorded publicly. So Bhagavad another great scholar, Bhagavad Umanibus Kare, Madhyamika.
Madhyamika
No.
Loka. Hride. Madhyamika Hride.
In that book, and also its own commentary, so mentioned the Kadu, Chunjusabo Kuru Sabo, Jan Sobo, Tezu Kadu Javis.
So
Yondrag, Tenusum Kadu Zang, Kunde Yamarite, Di Kadu Di, and Gusan Jamia, Sanda Shamsoti, Texan Tubo, talking about Shet, do it on Riva.
So the Mahayana teachings, the collection of the Mahayana teachings were not carried by the human beings, but by the bodhisattvas like Samantabhadra and Manjushri.
So it is quite obvious. The audience, not public, but selected sort of people. Then, like the location Rajgiri, that Kasa, Valcha Kasa, Chagonguri.
Walter Peak.
That place, very small. But the scripture mentioned is a big audience. So, not I think the conventional way, some sort of Lathabala.
Those who have pure connections.
So, I think some of you already heard one occasion whether you see Mahayana teaching is authentic Buddhist teaching or not, some sort of discussion. So then I told Nagarjuna, firstly, Indian, so should know better about India. Then Nagarjuna come only after about 400 years, Buddha's sort of Mahaparinirvana. So comparatively, only 400. So quite close.
Closer to Buddha.
And then important is Nagarjuna, judging his writing, he's very, very brilliant-minded against South Indian or Central Indian, where? Andhra Pradesh, Marbe. Now it is located in Andhra Pradesh. So, very, very brilliant. And then very, very logician.
Logical. No, great logician.
He always examine. He never accept easily. Even Buddha's own word, he examined. Now, this Buddha's teaching, you cannot accept literally, because this goes against our logic. So such person, such person, and only after 400 years, and an Indian, I think should know better than some of the Western scholars after 2,500 years. From distance, from West, the concept, the background carry the Judeo-Christian sort of view. And then look at Indian history. Sometimes I feel like that. Then I think exact sort of knowledge is rare.
No.
Precise knowledge, I think only possible. I think the Buddha, someone who actually witnessed Buddha's activities, then come today, then can tell. That's impossible, or like that. Now, important thing is the essence of Mahayana teaching, entirely based on Four Noble Truths and 37 Kasachukti.
Auxiliary paths, Buddhahood.
Sanskrit, Sanskrit,
Chanchosuti.
Chanchosuti. Ka,
Buddhayana.
Karsa.
The Sanskrit version of the 37 auxiliary paths to enlightenment.
So that is the real sort of the practice of the Theravada world. And that's the basis of the Mahayana teaching. In those Mahayana Sanskrit texts, the further sort of explanation with reasons about Nirodha, the cessation. In order to know, in order to explain thoroughly the possibility of elimination of negative emotion, you need the clear presentation about ultimate reality. In order to know the subtle level of ignorance, you must know the reality. Then make examine that ignorant mind, what kind of sort of grasping, and what's the reality. So therefore, like Dharmakirti's Pramanagotika Karika. Very important text. So they thoroughly explain. And then also the Chandrakirti. So when we study these books, then idea of Four Noble Truths truly becomes something living. Otherwise, just relying on quotation of Buddha. So these great Indian sort of scholars, they really point out through reasons. So the Theravada tradition is the basis of Buddha Dharma. Then those Sanskrit texts is actually further sort of
enhancement,
like that. Then so that we call about Mahayana, the second Dharma wheel at Rajgiri, and then third Dharma wheel, and Yamachanskare.
Veshali.
And some other places. So now I'm not going to detail these things. I think you may feel boring. Now Four Noble Truths. I think our session, perhaps this is some my explanation, then about, I think, 30, 40 minutes, some discussion. Then at the end, maybe a few minutes silent meditation. So that will be an opportunity among those audience who feel little tired, then feel sleep. Okay, that's opportunity to rest, to sleep. So at the beginning, chance di shingi Sanskrit and omo yedra ma hidu tamba hidu teka tatanga to hewan the tekan san the yamba the mashamana so ti rugi Sanskrit na. Anyone who can recite this mantra, of course, we know you see that mantra, but our accent is Tibetan Sanskrit accent. Oh, then good. I think please. You come here. I think you come here. No, come here, come here. I think this is very, very sort of important sort of what's the shloka. Many years ago, I think in 60s, Ubadeva, a great scholar, Sanskrit scholar, he came to see me, I think almost first time or second time. And we just used to talk. I also study the Sanskrit grammar a little bit. And of course, some sort of, some terminology, right? Some words. Or some. So then he told me, you see, the success, Prasannapada in Sanskrit still exists, available. So then I request him, please recite in Sanskrit about because of the praising to Buddha, Devati. And then he recite Sanskrit with certain sort of Sanskrit sort of tune. I very much moved. All these texts which we learned from childhood, the original text in Sanskrit. So one Indian scholar recite that. Something very, very moving. So now he often, I sort of request him when I give some teaching in West or lecture on Buddhism. Then some Heart Sutra in Sanskrit. Often I request him chanting Heart Sutra in Sanskrit. Now today, Yedamainda.
Om ye dharma hetu prabha hetum te shantagatav te shanchi nirodha evangvadi mahashramana.
Thank you. Now the translation, Tibetan. Chöna samche gyulichung, tichu tichi shebesung, gyula gokpa kanyinba, geshun shimbe tegesung. Thank you. Thank you. When you recite word of Buddha, come here. Now finished, go there.
All phenomena have are
the translation, meaning translation.
All phenomena are born from causes and conditions, and causes and conditions have been taught by the Buddha, and the cessation of those causes and the results have also been taught by the same Buddha.
So that the Four Noble Truths mentioning, that Sanskrit sort of word, it seems common in Theravada tradition also. 두개, the 탱매물주 예자마자 정규 베끼시도, 또 sulak한테 와 예자마 치셔야지. 하고 이제. So now the meaning, every phenomena which changing there must be its own causes. So it mentioned law of causality. From the Buddhist Buddhism and Jainism, mainly these two, you see, according to their tradition, no concept of creator, of God, creator. Of course, God in the sense of higher being, like Buddha, Bodhisattva, then okay. But God as such, creator, absolute. And these two traditions, no such sort of concept. Because when they sort of examining the kasa Parmana Vatika Karika, and also the Shantadeva's book, the 9th chapter, and also the Shantarakshita's the text, mainly logics. Karsadi.
Tattva Samgra. Gra.
So, very thick, thick, not very, very thick, but it's quite big. Very difficult for me. When I start to read, then immediately feel bye-bye. Very difficult. Unless you spend, you see, a lot of time, otherwise it's very difficult. So these clearly mentioned. If you accept, now I'm speaking from the viewpoint of Buddhist masters. Please understand, now this is not at all, you see, the Kasura, make Kasura,
to be critical of other traditions.
The tradition, no, as I mentioned earlier. But you see the text, you see mentioned like this. I think here also the India's real sort of also the tradition of tolerance, different views. One time, your former Deputy Prime Minister, Advani, he told me, the since ancient time, one sort of school of thought, Charvaka nihilism. No. So the rest of the Indian thinker very much criticize, oppose, and sometimes condemn. But person who hold that view refer Rishi. Rishi means sage. So that clearly shows respect. So that's, I think, and then like, I think within Buddhist scholars, the Arya Asanga, some his writing, he little bit sort of criticized and sort of harsh word towards those school of thought which denying existence of inherent nature.
Inherent nature of objects.
So Arya Sangha, Bodhisattva, in his writing, criticized very harsh word. And also, you see, the Chandakirti's sort of writing.
Prasnapata. The auto commentary of Madhyamika.
At the end, he raised a question, like great Bhikshu Basubandh and Dhammapala, whether they abandoned because of the lack of merit, lack of merit, and so abandoned about the subtle meaning of shunyata. Then his answer is yes. So that also, you see, some kind of sort of
criticism.
Very critical, harsh word towards Bosuband and Dhammapala. So this intellectual level, when they carry argument, you see, they really, they use because of the sharpest sort of argument. That not sort of disrespect, but respect. I think in our sort of tradition, when the debate court were, Shara,
in the debate courtyard.
debate courtyard, you see, people debate the dialectical way, sometimes lose temper. But after finish, you see, the debate, then nothing, very friendly. Some exceptional case there. You see, some serious debate. Then, next few years, always you see, whenever that person come and debate. So rest of their life, little bit, occasion, very exceptional case, such things happen. Otherwise, you see, debate is debate. But then there's nothing with sort of negative feeling each other like that. So I'm here now saying the sort of also the argument point about the existence of absolute creator. One simple thing, about 2 years ago, one my friend, one doctor, wonderful person, very religious-minded. He sincerely asked me, God, very much compassionate. He creates this world. In his creature, a lot of mischievous people there. Why compassionate God is to create mischievous people? He asked me this question. Then, of course, I know him, so half joke, I told him, since compassionate God create hell, so there must be someone have to go hell. Otherwise, it's empty. It's no purpose creating hell. That's the only answer. Otherwise, no answer. Then, a lot of complications. God, because of the all-knowing, all-powerful, creator, as a creator, all-powerful, and full mercy, infinite love. These are contradictory sort of things. So difficult. Then, philosophical way, the logical way, the God permanent, not changing. Oneness, permanent. So source, permanent. Creature, changing. That also is a contradiction. So the Buddhist, I think Jainism also may be the same. Any phenomena which changing must be their causes. And the causes itself also changing due to its own causes. So beginningless. So that's the basis of the limitless sort of lives, life after life. The consciousness is the main basis of designated self or I. So that consciousness, you see, consciousness, its own special entity. So that substantial cause must be similar nature. So therefore, consciousness never produced by the physical sort of the particles. Similar way, the physical particle cannot sort of produce by mind. Of course, in the cooperative causes, yes, they are. But substantial cause must be same nature. So that's the logical sort of approach, beginningless of mind or consciousness. And also the physical world also beginningless. Our physical for example, my body, the subtle sort of particles, my body, you see, the continuation of the substantial causes, continuation, no beginning. At the time of Big Bang, already there. The Big Bang also, you see, happened due to tremendous sort of pressure. So this pressure or energy must come from some sources. So that source, again, its own causes, So beginningless. So that's the Buddhist, was the Buddhist sort of argument. So the conclusion is everything which changing due to its own causes. So, law of causality. That's the one meaning of Paticcasamuppada. That's in the Hanakasa Jogti. Kasa, Shana Julisung, Tiji Sevesung. Julan Goba Kaimba, Geshem Tegesung, that Julan Goba says to her.
The cessation of the causes, the great, the perfected one also taught the same.
So the first verses, two verses,
Two lines. The first two lines.
Mentioned law of causality in general. And within that, the suffering, or experience of suffering, experience of joyfulness, both, because of that, belongs the phenomena which changing. So it must be causes. So now, the causes of suffering. No sentient being wants suffering. Any sentient being always desire to overcome suffering. Yet, many suffering ultimately is own creation. That's obviously ignorance. Nobody consciously making effort to create more suffering. No. So ignorance now. Here ignorance, there are many levels of ignorance. Firstly, ignorance which the
ignorant of the nature of causality.
Then further question, why it happened? Now, the Sanskrit tradition, much profound explanation. The subtle level of ignorance. Ignorance. So there is a lot of sort of explanation. This is something complicated. Usually some of the people who really having some problem about fear or about anger, these things, and I usually recommended it. Read Shantadeva's book, the 6th chapter, and I'm mentioning 6th chapter and 8th chapter, very useful. Then often I told them, the 9th chapter, too complicated, should not read. So it's a lot of sort of kasoda. I think that's the analyzation. Very deeper way, it's very complicated. So now roughly, this kasoda saying, the sins, the source of causes of suffering due to ignorance. Therefore, it is very important to bring knowledge. The counterforce of ignorance is knowledge or wisdom. The ignorance will not go away through prayer, through just simple meditation. The counterforce of ignorance is only awareness or education and wisdom, like that. So, I think I often telling people, see, this is ignorance of A, B, C, D. Through prayer, not go away. Unless you learn some sort of drawing, this is A, this is B. As soon as you know that, the ignorance of A, B, C, D disappear. That's the only way. So our ignorance, they diminish only through study and develop understanding of the reality, like that. So now the second sort of lines, or third line, that now hint the possibility of the cessation, because the ultimate source of suffering is ignorance. So any ignorance, there must be counterforce, that is understand the reality. So now here, now they point Atma, Anatma, now involved. So from the Buddhist viewpoint, the grasping self, that is the very major sort of the basis of all these the destructive emotion. Obviously, fear, suspicion, jealousy, anger, attachment, all these centered at the self. I want this, or something bad about towards me, fear, or something better than me, jealousy, something about is harming, anger, hatred. All these things, you see, related with self centered sort of attitude. Compassion, sense of concern of others' well-being. The opposite, the basis of these negative emotions. Opposite, counterforce. The counterforce, two things. One, Namasaji Vetishigri, pneumonia, Kasati, the Minji Pneumonda, Shiru Pneumochans, Nishikwa.
When it comes to the classification of delusions, there are two ways of classifying delusion in the Buddhist philosophy. One is delusions which are view-oriented and delusions which are not oriented in view. So non-view delusions and view delusions.
Like anger, hatred, extreme attachment, you see, these are taminimo.
Non-view delusions. Attachment, these are non-view delusions.
다 나르즘베 로디 시름이모지리샤.
The grasping at
완지 직다.
that grasping at an inherent I is a view delusion.
대전제래 다 최게 되어 있나? 탈다. 직다 탈다. 아니 사실 록다 용이다. 록다. 아니 좀 주시son지. 어사들대디 그 뒤도 시름이모지리도.
So all those delusions are attached with that self-grasping, like the wrong view, the diluted doubt, the view grasping at extremes, like an eternal self or permanent self. All these are view delusions.
Now I think it quite clear. When we develop anger, simply, you see, the negative sort of negative sort of forces, something harming towards you, you develop anger. So at that time, not analyze to whom, what is the anger's target? No, just that person or that phenomena is really because it irritates me and feel angry. But then self-centered sort of feeling, the grasping self. Here one clear sort of indication is accept Buddhism, but all rest of the spiritual sort of traditions, philosophies, all accept Atma or soul. So some investigate what is self, what is I. Beside this body, beside mind, there is soul. There must be. And particularly those people, those school of thought who they accept rebirth. Through investigation, they found there must be something which come from past life up to this life, from this life, next life. Obviously, this body not come, not go there. And obviously, mind, which is based on this brain, also you see, a new one. So there must be something. And then answer, Atma, soul, self. So body, many different elements. Atma, not like that, just one entity. And the body, changing. At the young age, young body, middle age, then old age, a different body. Accordingly, different mental state. So mind and body changing. But self, same. When I was in mother's womb, still I. After I born, still I. When I get older, still I, same I. So unchanging. Body, there are many parts. I, just one. So oneness, unchanging, independent. So that sort of concept, after investigate, not just sort of the biological factor sort of feeling, but something, analyze, then there must be something. That's Atma, like that. So that is shirup nyumu chen sayari diridwa, chedwadi, shirup sekwadi.
The reason why we call them as view, the delusions which are view-oriented, view delusions, is that these delusions are acquired only upon contemplation or analysis, and these are not developed spontaneously.
That tindegi ini taadi ini chik yomarishin chik mebar tawe soro. Taadi soro ta kasoro jachimon yon ra yomar sa soro. Ini yana pe ta taasu tegisa ta tanji taadi tikle udo.
So that kind of independent, unitary, permanent self, which comes from past life and will also go to next life, that kind of self having the nature of permanence is unacceptable.
자다가 아주 집에 어비다 먹고 싶으니까 집에서 차게 죽으셔. That
in Abhidhamma Karika, it speaks of the 6 delusions as the roots of samsara.
하다가 대자 셰다. 아니 태솜 유모제. 때 이미지하고 대자 셰다 태솜 유모제. 아니 ngaje 인가래.
Mari. Mari. Sina doja kondu ngaji mari tawa.
머리부.
Maripa.
오래.
네.
단디 따와다 머리부 카가샤브지. 단도 카가샤브라.
No. Tawashi.
머리부디 몽섬티체. 직더디 친절하게. 디체. 친절하다 니신데네. 제가다 가다서 자제 줬으니 때민지 요몽마체. 실은 요몽체 직체. 다 실은 요몽체 직부터라 실은 요몽체 달라 양파 낭색이 이어윤디 직다 탈다 록다. 아니 실은 주시 존재 인식하래. 직다 탈다 록다. 실은 주시 존재 인식하사.
태손이 뭐지 말.
말해.
도시. 직다.
아,
다와촌지.
다와 존재. 나. 실은 요몽체 달라 마샤. 견돈비 다 디샤소. 쭉. 그래서 자제 죽스난 게 따와 찍혀가지 이식이 아니 델바낭식이다 맞지.
So it speaks of 6 kinds of delusions as the root of samsara. These are the attachment, aversion, anger, arrogance, ignorance, and deluded view. So, and also, the deluded doubt. So these form
No
6.
doubt. delusion 이미지하고다.
Deluded. And then
I mean doubt of generally neutral, positive doubt, negative doubt. So particularly in the logical sort of debate field, doubt is very essential. Skepticism is very essential. Without sort of doubt or skeptical, there's no possibility to develop questions. Without question, you never investigate. Without investigate, you never find the reality. So, the doubt, even Buddha's own word, you see, doubt is necessary. Then further investigate. So all those Buddhist texts, major texts at the beginning, the
4 kinds of criteria for text, like the content of the text, the purpose of the text, the supplication, and then also the pledge to compose the text. So 4 kinds of elements of.
So the proper sort of the student of that book should have skepticism. Then investigate. Otherwise, just blindly accept it. That Buddha himself used to make clear. Oh, my follower, bhikshus and bhikshunis and scholars should not accept my teaching out of faith and out of devotion, but rather thorough investigation and experiment. So that's a very scientific way approach. So the doubt generally very helpful, very necessary. Now here
Diluted doubt in this context. So there is one kind. So the 6 kinds are like attachment, aversion, anger, pride, ignorance, and then diluted doubt and the view. So here the first 4 are non-diluted, non-view delusions, and the last one is view delusions. The last one, the diluted view, can be classified again into further 5, like the view grasping at transitory collections. That means psychophysical elements. And then view that develops from that, view grasping at the extremes, like of an eternal self. And then view based on wrong approaches of methods to attain liberation, and then the wrong view itself. So these 5 are like view delusions, and if you classify these the view delusions into 5, then these 5 together with the other non-view delusions 5, they become they give rise to like 10 delusions in total.
So there are 2 types. One group some kind of investigation, then develop wrong view. That kind of clash, afflicting emotion, the counterforce is only wisdom, no other. But like anger, its counterforce is loving kindness. Too much attachment, counterforce is knowing the negative side. So, nyambulya tishigdwa, sunjimbe nyambu, sahajik point nyambu sahashigdwa.
When it comes to the classifications of antidotes of the delusions, it speaks of two. One is the antidote of avoidance, an antidote by which you avoid the source of these delusions, an antidote of abandonment, where you actually eliminate by counteracting with the delusion itself. So two kinds.
Oh, Rajiv, what time? Tea break? Huh? Kasa? At
15 minutes.
Kasa? Oh, Chusumba? Or 3? Okay, good. So now the later two lines, now dealing with Shiru Nyamuchang Nyamujana Pajili Gorda.
So the two the lines where it says the cessation of these causes has been taught by the great perfected one. These speaks of the antidote of the view-oriented delusions.
Mm-hmm. So that involves about anathema theory. And anathema, now within Buddhist different school of thought, the different interpretation. So another word, the selflessness. Finally, all phenomena, the very nature of the existence is absence of independent existence, all designated. But at the same time, Tanya Chagwe Tantala, Tanya Samashinji, Minerva. And Tandam Jiji is a Minerva Sunga Tene, Yemi Shava Mado, Yujing, Yemi Proof.
So in order to establish the existence of an entity, we have three criteria. First, the entity has to be conventionally known, and it should not have any logical challenges from other conventions. And thirdly, there should not be logical challenges from the wisdom discerning the ultimate reality of objects. So with these three criteria, only then we can establish something as existence. So other than that, objectively or independently from the side of the object, nothing is considered as existence. So it's only from mental designations provided with these three criteria that something is considered to be existent.
So now these sentences, so 4 lines, actually mentioning the law of causality as a reality. Then they if you analyze more deeper way, not only result depend on its own causes, but anything which become cause entirely depend its own result. Without result, you never be cause. So the very factor itself become cause depend on result. So these differences, result come from cause. Here, cause must be first, then result. But the existence of cause depend on its own result. actually result come later. Cause come first, but it become cause. It depend on the future result. 자자가 제부 줄 때네 게 신스기요래. 다 주 제부를 때네 게스 말해. 얘나야 데 주이 뭐 줘야 돼. 제부를 때네.
So when we say a result is dependent upon the cause, we also mean to say that the result has arisen from the cause. But when we say that the cause is dependent upon the result, it doesn't mean that the cause is actually born from the result. But to establish something as the cause, it has to do in relation with the result. So a result that is yet to arise. Based on that result, only then can we term something as cause, without which, without considering the involvement of the result, we cannot call something as cause. So based on that, even though it's not arising from the result, it's still dependent upon the result.
So that shows interdependency. Cause not come from a result, but the very nature of cause depend on the result, coming result. So now that brings the argument, everything's existence depend on other, not by itself. 다티 세면 로당 토안에 겨워 먹고 싶을 샤요. 가서 우리 그게 남이 치고 주나 겨워다 겨워서 되지 싶을 게 아주 거.
So logically, if we are to analyze, then the consideration of the connectivity and also the consideration of logical contradictions, these are very important things to be contemplated upon.
So the reality, there is also the differences or contradictory. That is the natural law. Like you see, heat, cold, opposite each other. The light, dark, opposite each other. Like that. And yellow color, red color, differences, but not direct opposite. There are third factor there. Green, neither yellow, neither red.
Red.
But then the dark, only that little show. So here, existence, non-existence, dependent, independent, direct opposite. Either dependent or independent. No third way. Do you find one third way? Neither
Dependent
No.
or independent.
Oh.
Is there any other third alternative?
Karsa.
No. Is there any third alternative? Is a phenomena still exists without being either dependent or independent? Is there any third possibility?
Now, like you see, men, human being, and animal, different, contradictory.
They are actually not same, but we still can have. They are incompatible.
But you see, the flower, neither human being nor animal. So they are third. Human being and animal, 가서다.
Not,
Yeah.
they are different, but there still could be something which is apart, which is none of them.
Now, human being, non-human being, direct contradict. Once, this is human being, automatically eliminate non-human being. This non-human being automatically eliminate
possibility
Human
of the object being human.
So that mangesati.
So this is
그래서
dichotomically
직세야 돼. 가.
mutually
어디
exclusive.
어디.
There's another term, dichotomy.
mange.
Right.
So dependent and not dependent.
Mutually exclusive.
Neither this nor that, no third. So now, the very nature of the existence, obviously, it depends on many other factors. Those factors are actually not that thing. Right? 랑 임부 차야 돼. 랑 임부실로 돼.
So for the object to establish its own nature, it has to also depend upon something which is not the object itself. So to establish the object as itself, it has to again depend on something which is not it.
Some sense? So now the conclusion is, since things existence depend on other factor, so absence of independent existence. Things are dependent. Things existence depend on other factor. So now like self, I. Without further investigation, everybody feel, I'm here. I want happy life. I do not want suffering. Yes, it's very perfect, correct. But you see, the sort of attitude, the feeling of I, there are some sort of element, there's some kind of independent self, which owns this body and mind, my body. Then further investigate, which is self? I. Unless you accept Atma, otherwise it's difficult. If you accept Atma, then very difficult old I, young I, and even I think male I, female I. I is separate, independent, not depend on body. So male and female entirely depend on the organs. So the physical. So beside some independent I there, then I neither male or neither female.
Nor female.
No female. Difficult. I not changing, body changing. So due to different body, different sort of age of body, obviously we can say, now I'm old. It's perfect, correct. So there must be sort of connection or dependency. Similarly, mind. Today my mind rather dull. So I feel tired. Today my mind is very fresh, so I'm unfresh. Everything is very much connected. So obviously, these things are obvious. So therefore, conclusion, Buddhist argument goes like this. So thorough investigation, you can't find things objectively. Now quantum physics also now touching quite similar that way. Of course, the external things, investigate particle, further. No sort of the essential substance. So the quantum physicists, they say, finally we subject side some designate. Isn't it?
A designation from the subjective mind.
So 명상기 당 오지 샤투야 말만다.
But they cannot
modern science.
They cannot establish the existence of the object by mere label or by mere designation.
Now Madhyamika philosophy, You see, the thorough investigation, then conclusion. The very nature of existence is mere designated. But at the same time, it works. So now here, two extreme. Independent existence or nothingness, two extreme. Avoid nothingness. It is true. It is sort of a factor. Factor way.
No, fact.
It is there, but not independently. Now here, once we intellectually some understanding about that, then examine our usual sort of feeling. For example, I, when we feel I, there's something independent. When we saw something there, it appears independently. So now, without sort of forget the understanding out of analyzation, then we realize, appearances and reality difference. Appears objectively. Reality, not objectively. If things objectively exist, then further investigate must find.
Findable.
So that's the way. So now here, through that way, we begin to gradually realize the subtle level of ignorance, grasping entirely on the basis of appearances. So now this, the ten attack with Tenjung Sati.
So when you speak of dependent origination, we speak of also the dependent origination on dependence upon causes, and and the second one is the dependent origination of imputation based on its different aspects.
So Mahayana teaching, and like Nagarjuna's commentary, the very much emphasis of the explanation about the second type of Paticcasamuppada. Now, two meanings of Paticcasamuppada. One, law of causality. One, that way, dependent and interconnectedness. So Pali tradition also refer the second type of reality, but very roughly. Like Panchaparamita Sutra, very detailed. And then furthermore, these commentary, like Nagarjuna, are extremely well, wonderful. And Nagarjuna, Buddha Palita, and Chandrakirti, and Chandradeva, these four well-known, top scholars and many writings. Actually, we can see, fortunately, in Tibetan translation, all these translations are there. In Chinese Buddhist script translation from India, not complete. So, and particularly like logic, Buddhist logic, pramana, epistemology, I think Tibetan translation are much much more. And then here, I think the way, dialectical way, tell, chir. I think in English word, I think still difficult, isn't it? In Hindi, Sanskrit, tell, chir, dosu. And Chinese, of course, firstly, those Buddhist epistemologies or text, main text, the Dignags and the Dharmakirti, Ishantarakshita, I think these texts are not translated. Nowadays, some translation there. Traditionally, not available. And then Tibet case, not only these translation there, but also local Tibetan eventually, you see, further develop because of the way to dialectical debate, investigation. So like Sajja Pandita and Chaba, many of these Tibetan scholars, they write their own Chameshung.
Their own literatures on way of reasoning.
So it seems, as a result of now wider contact with Buddhist scholars, Buddhist practitioners from different Buddhist countries, now I develop some kind of sort of the conviction as far as Buddhism in general, and particularly Buddhist philosophy, and especially Buddhist logic is concerned. I think we Tibetan Buddhism is really superior. I want to seek permission from my guru to say that. All these taught by you, not our own creation. All these great, brilliant Indian masters, not only just religion, but you see, they, in academic field, they really, and immense help from non-Buddhist sort of scholars. I think Buddhist logic development, it shows very clear. After Dignac, a lot of sort of opposition from non-Buddhist school of thought. And then Dharmakirti come and he defend Dignac's sort of viewpoint and criticism or make sort of contradiction the previous argument to Dignac. Then after Dharmakirti, the further sort of also the argument from non-Buddhist school of thought. Then Shantarakshita, his Chamete Khonijiva, in his
Prasanapata.
Which I mentioned before.
Tata Samgara.
So further sort of also the explanation. So the Buddhist logic, as well as Buddhist logic, I think develop more challenge, more development. No challenge, no further development. So challenge is very, very essential. Then philosophy also. The Madhyamika philosophy, although Parijaparamita Sutra mentioned that, then it's a different interpretation. Like Chitta Mantras, might only school of thought take some different interpretation. Mainly Arya Asanga and Basuband and some of his followers. And then further sort of explanation, sort of argument from
Prasangika.
Mari, ngerti.
Saftantrika, Swatantrika.
Like Buddha Palita and also the Vivashik, Bhavivika. Lot of argument and argue the Chitta Mantra's viewpoint. Lot of argument. So the philosophical field also, you see, within the Buddhist, lot of debate through centuries, then further develop. Or not necessarily the development of the essence, but same essence, but the further sort of explanation and further sort of discussion, clarifications like that. So now modern time, I think in some level, some challenge from science is very useful, very welcome. First casualty for my own belief, Mount Meru. I do not now accept Mount Meru. So I think like you, I think mandala boom, the offering mandalas in the center of Mount Meru, I think very faithfully. Okay, this is okay with certain sort of faith, in certain sort of also the visualization, that's okay. But otherwise, if you really believe existence of Mount Meru behind Siberia, and finally North Pole, flat, no mountain. Then further goes Canada. We never found Mount Meru. We will never find. So another casualty is existence of Shambhala, which attracted many people at Kala Chakra initiation. But the Shambhala itself, I'm not very sure. But okay, the Tantra, Kala Chakra Tantra, many Tibetan scholars, practitioners, actually practice that. So some, definitely sort of the
Result. Experience.
Experiences there. So then okay. So teaching, something proved when they practice, implement. So that's sufficient. The Shambhala, whether the Shambhala, that's something different. Okay, that's the matter. And also Sangdoberi, the Pema Sambhava sort of residence, sort of formal residence, right? In Pakistan, I don't know. Kasa? Oh,
Swat Valley.
Pakistan is Yorsuduati. Oh. So, then the Wuteshen in China, the Madhusri's place, ordinary place. But when Third Dalai Lama visited there, one day he received one mala, rosary. Oh, that actually I saw. You see, those sort of, the elder people, they explain one particular rosary, which you see keep in one room in Potala. I saw that rosary given to Third Dalai Lama, one Chinese monk. Soon after that person appeared, presented that mala. Then Dalai Lama inquired, where that monk? I want to give something, but then disappear. It happened. So there are some sort of mysterious things there. So from the Buddhist viewpoint, not mysterious. These also is the reality, a different level. Some reality or perception, so our sort of sensorial can experience. So our sort of mental sort of concept, many concepts mainly come through sensorial experience. So certain phenomena, the sensorial level, you cannot touch. So only we can investigate through some indications. One my friend, very close friend, one Indian, once asked me one question. As far as he knows, the Dalai Lama, your way of thinking is very, very scientific. But at the same time, you also accept state oracle. So he found big contradiction. That I told, there are different level of phenomena. So these oracles, these things are another level of reality. We cannot see, we cannot hear, we cannot touch this sort of, because of the grosser level of sensorial. But we can feel, we can experiment, we can test. So I told him like that. So then seems he understand. So I not dismissed from scientist, scientific minded. So like that. So in any way, now time. Announcement.
We'll have a 15-minute tea refreshment break. The two doors behind lead to tea and refreshments. The restroom is across the lobby here on the, well, this is the ground floor, but the lobby floor has additional restrooms if you'd like to use that. And please be back in 15 minutes. Tea and some refreshments are served. Thank you.
Good. Thank you. That's the true meaning of Pratitya Samupanta. It's actually, I think, summarize whole Buddhist philosophical view. And then this philosophical view contracts with the Sujodi Nyamling Suchari.
If you correlate that to the practice,
I think some of you already know. I think 2 years ago, since 2 years ago, I felt the content of about 300 volumes Buddhist text, which translated from India. Buddha's own word, about 100 volume. The commentary, like Nagarjuna's, these sort of great Indian masters, sort of Indian thinkers or philosophers, writing about 220. So the contents, these 300 volumes, over 300 volumes, we can categorize 3 parts. First part, reality. Reality, external matters, and time, or different sort of elements. Then also internal mind, emotions. So both vast subject. Usually you see people, you see get the idea, mind is something just one. According to Buddhist sort of psychology, right? There are thousands different sort of minds, and sort of that's minds. So therefore, Abhidhamma Karika, and also the Pramanavadika Karika, a lot of explanation about mind, and then also the Chandrakirti's sort of writing also is mentioned about the very, very subtle level, the identification, different minds, and also the subtle level, the identification, identification about praman, sama.
A valid reasoning or
Sama means
how to recognize valid cognitions.
Although you see the praman, sama, praman.
Brahman.
The non-Buddhist school of thought, Buddhist school of thought, both, you see, emphasis, very extremely important, the praman. Whether, you see, our understand the thing correct or realistic or not, you see, we have to examine our view. The only,
something which is established by valid cognition is considered to be existent, and something which is not established by valid cognition is considered non-existent.
So here the message, look and touch.
So whether or not a thing exists is defined primarily by a mental perception.
따지니 시변을 로 친지로 인다, 로 양타고 인사야지, 로 지치도 샤워는 저는 내면 상상으로.
So whether or not
아주 상해 계속 시가 말이요.
whether or not a perception or a cognition is distorted depends on whether the object actually exists the way the mind apprehends it.
So So that's Buddhist psychology. In that field, no concept of right or wrong, or good or bad. Simply reality. The clash also there mentioned. Not necessarily you should consider something negative, but the fact like that. Then second category, second group. On the basis of the reality. Now, for example, the reality examining, we found things are momentarily changing, not obvious at all change. But the very factor, the obvious change possible is momentarily changing. So change our body, I think after several years we will notice some change. But that change not happen over one night, but months, years. The noticeable change happen because of change within month. Within month change possible within days. The change within days possible because within hours, within minutes, within second changing. So the obvious change sometimes depend on third factor. But momentarily changing is not depend on third factor. But its own causes produce that nature. Cause itself changing. So cause produce result. The result nature also momentarily changing. So that on the basis of that reality, then we say, then Buddhist concept, yes, impermanence. Then also, you see, as I mentioned earlier, you see, result depend on its own causes. The existence of cause itself depend on result. So interdependency. You see, that reality brings the Buddhist concept of interdependency. Because of because of interdependency, no independent existence. So absence of independent existence, that is shunyata. So Buddhist concept of shunyata comes from that reality. So first, investigate the reality. Then some conclusion or view and give some name. Oh, now this is the reality, this is the nature. Like that, the philosophy. Then through that way, of course, the further investigation, the possibility of change our mind. Since ignorance have antidote, so why not? So antidote increase, the opposition force reduce. That's the nature. So again, on the basis of that reality, that nature, then the eventually concept of salvation come. So that is the second part of philosophy. Then third part, that is religion. Therefore, since the possibility to overcome all this ignorance, if you cultivate or if you study, develop awareness, then wisdom, then you see you can overcome these real troublemaker within our own mind. So therefore, now worthwhile make some effort, including meditation and some prayer to Buddha. And with this understanding, then Buddha Mishanam Gacchami, Dhamma Mishanam Gacchami, Sangha Mishanam Gacchami is really meaningful. Without knowing this, just say, oh, Buddha Mishanam Gacchami, where is Buddha? No answer. What is Dharma? No answer. That's like the parrot way. No. Parrot will repeat some human word. Meaningless, nothing. So often I'm urging the Buddhist, Tibetan, Chinese Buddhist and Ladakhis, like Shambhisava, Ladakhis, and also this Kasa, Losa Samde. Nga Mingdo to Chingori, Mi Indo Kavadi Chun Chingomari. Tadi Jara Tazam Cruz, Kutama Kim is toast. It's a Mingasa say, but Mingsi say. That's a Mingdo, Mingdo learning it in Greece. Mindo Kasa say, Queen Mingdo Pius was. That's another.
His Holiness says he remembers the nickname of the person rather than the real name.
The nickname,
No.
Nickname, remember very easily. But real name, very difficult.
So once
So I give one nickname this person. It is top secret. Then also, accidentally, one time, my visit to Kasachuti, Nubra, by car. So we drive in Lajmin Kasa, Kardungla. On the top of the Kardungla, some rain, even some snowfall. Quite cold. And then the Trimche there, and we carry some sort of kasoda
rituals.
a puja, at lunch and puja. Then in the puja word, some particular word, something the kasoda deity, black deity. That very word, he appears. He quite dark. So then I give some nickname. Anyway, like that. So, somebody can say what? Trust her. What is the point? I mentioned this. What is the point?
Not to become like a parrot.
What is it? Did it?
Kaza.
Kanda do
Ka. Oh.
yeah.
Oh yes. That's right.
Yeah.
Thank you. So I often see telling those Buddhists, traditionally Buddhist. So we should be 21st century Buddhist. That means Buddhist faith with fuller knowledge about Buddhist philosophy, Buddha Dharma. Without knowing that, just to repeat some sort of today
Versus.
ceremony or verses is not much helpful. So now the third Buddhist religion, with fuller understanding about this reality as a science, then the philosophy, then practice, implement. That's part of religion. So third part, as a religion, that's only for Buddhist. No relevant to non-Buddhist. But the previous two, Buddhist science, is something academic subject, something universal. I think recent years, I think last 30 years, as a result of meeting with scientists, number of scientists, now time passes, many of these top scientists, mainly from America and from Europe. I think recently among Indians, Indian scientists also. So the interest, the eagerness to learn more about explanation, about mind, about emotion, and how to deal with these emotions. Now medical scientists also now showing genuine interest to learn more, to get more information. And there's no other sources about these things. So only ancient Indian sort of thought, and including Buddhism, like that. So therefore, Now that's part of the reality we can consider as the science. So now, these two sort of philosophical view, interdependency or law of causality, how to implement now that in the religious field? After sort of knowing the law of causality, then the implement is now don't harm other. Any action which sort of bring pains and uncomfortable to other, that's negative because of the sources, negative cause, negative action, negative karma. So that brings negative consequences for you. So restraining harmful action out of the view or conviction that law of causality. Clear? So like non-10 virtues.
10 non-virtuous actions.
So opposite virtuous, 10 virtues.
10 virtues.
All these, the knowing negative, harmful activities, verbal action, physical action, mental action, something harmful to other. So knowing that, restrain. Because if you commit that, for time being, you may get some superficial satisfaction. But long run, you get negative consequences. So result, next life, human life, or some other sort of Loka Devis and Loka Devas, like that. I think Hinduism also, mentioned about the three realms, Kamadadu, Rupindang, Arupindang. Isn't it? Madro, I think those, the Hindu sort of practitioner who practice samadhi, so they know the sensorial pleasure is not something durable sort of happiness. So deliberately, because of that, refrain and concentrate samadhi. The aim is vipassana. The lower realm, I'm impure, lot of problem. Higher realm, more peaceful. So through that way, vipassana. Loka vipassana. Buddhists call Loka vipassana.
Worldly vipassana.
Then that is common. Even I feel the Christians, Islam, Muslims, Jews, Zoroastrian followers, I think all major religious traditions teach restraint harming other, serving other. So non-virtuous sort of practice, more or less, I think common for all major religious traditions. The 10th Lokta.
The wrong view.
That is according to their own sort of philosophical view. There's a different nature, different kind of wrong view.
Wrong view.
Like that. From theistic religious viewpoint, the Buddhist view is wrong view. Like that. So from Buddhist viewpoint, the concept of God also, I don't know, a little bit wrong view. Wrong view, there are two types. Tangda, because drondo such
A wrong view of exaggeration and wrong view of nihilism. Rejection.
So who is right? Difficult. Even appeal to Supreme Court, nobody can decide. The non-religious viewpoint, you see that kind of sort of belief is a little bit exaggerated thing. From their viewpoint, Buddhism is nihilism, not a religion, that kind of sort of feeling. But that's personal matter. Years ago, I have one very close American Catholic monk. Very nice person, a wonderful person. He really has sort of interest about some Buddhist, certain Buddhist practice, about practice of patience, tolerance, and a single point in the mind. So we discuss. One day, he asked me a question about shunyata. Then I told him, this is not your business. This is Buddhist business. Don't ask that. So it is better to give one's own sort of view. That's much better. It's because of the helpful, like that. So now second meaning of Paticcasamuppada. That deal with the subtle ignorance. Once we develop the direct opposition of that ignorance, that's high sort of, I think, deeper level of wisdom. That wisdom develop, then gradually the subtle level of ignorance will reduce, then finally eliminate. That is nirvana. Then further sort of elimination, the traces of that ignorance is the Buddhahood. So that second sort of level of the concept of Paticcasamuppada, you see, the implementation of that view brings nirvana, moksha, Buddhist, according to Buddhist system, Buddhist sort of moksha, like that. The concept of moksha, common. The Hinduism also is accept moksha, some. Like that. So now on the basis of the Paticcasamuppada theory, now Four Noble Truth comes. Four Noble Truth, when Buddha taught or Buddha gave teaching of Four Noble Truth at Sanat, the audience only five. Krishi ko dineas daro Hindi ke kasre. Krishi sadi phegeche. Pheger bata ko dinea. Godinia. Headed by Godinia, 5. So initially, they together with Buddha, then Siddhartha. So 6 years fasting. I don't know, complete fasting or little food, I don't know. Then he realized just fasting won't sort of purify unless you develop wisdom, understanding of anatma. So then he left the place of sort of fasting area. So these 5 attendants little sort of resentment. Then they felt, the Gautam Siddhartha, you see the cause of the betrayals already.
Abandoned us. Betrayed.
So then Buddha, near Narendra river, eventually at Buddha Gaya, he enlightened. He achieved enlightenment. then he approached these 5 people who resented to the Buddha. Then they sort of say unanimously agree. Now the Siddhartha, Gautama, coming. We don't respect. We will not stand. They decide that. Then Buddha, nearer, automatically, spontaneously, all 5 stand, respect Buddha. Then Buddha, you are the audience of my first teaching. Then he teach the Four Noble Truth. The way, Four Noble Truth. And 벽에는 disorder. 가사.
렌순
대바숨. 아니 가사 가르치고 있어.
렌순 넘버 중이
가.
넘버 중이
렌숨. 단지럽다.
The Four Noble Truths were taught in 3 phases with 12 different aspects.
So the 3
Phases or
3
sequences.
phases that shows the first phase just simply explain reality. Then second phase, on that reality, since we are seeking happiness, joyfulness, to overcome suffering, so according to that reality, we have to
the evaluation of abandonment and embracement.
So that is then third phases. If you implement through practice, then what result come? The possibility of achievement. That's third phase. Now the actual word, 니네 동업하고 있다고, 군주하고 있다고, 공업하고 있다고, 람하고 있다고, 뭘 대봤지?
So the first phase speaks of the nature of the Four Noble Truths, where Buddha spoke that this is the truth of suffering, this is the truth of cause, this is the truth of cessation, and this is the truth of path leading to cessation.
Of course, suffering already there. That's a reality. And I already mentioned the law of causality. So these pains and pleasure also due to its own causes. So the second point is the causes of the suffering. Then the third noble truth, since the ultimate source of ultimate cause of suffering is ignorance. So any ignorance can reduce by understanding or awareness. So the possibility of cessation, the third noble truth. Once that clear, then the enthusiasm to make effort to develop wisdom in order to counter the ignorance. So that's fourth noble truth. So then the second phase,
So with respect to the practice of evaluation, Buddha further taught that the truth of suffering should be understood properly, and the truth of cause of the suffering should be abandoned, and the truth of cessation should be actualized, and for that the truth of path should be cultivated.
Then third phase, 동해 쉐버 체니 동해 냠부 냠바이나 가서는 동해 라르춘이 다 동해 짬에 추전에 쉐버 짬에 쳐 그래서 대단시 군중방을 짬에 봐. 고법 것도 제서지 라르는 것도 짬에 돼 봐. 또 고법 왔다 다래. 람도 또 먹는 것도 교차리 제라 또 further 찍라 것도 짬에 돼 봐. 진짜 이노 동네 쉐바시도 쉐바샤면 그저 방시도 방샤면 사디 수가 있다.
So in the third phase, he taught that once the nature of the truth of suffering is understood, there is no further understanding. And once the truth of cause is abandoned, there is no further abandonment. And when once the truth of cessation is actualized, there is no further actualization. And when once the truth of path is cultivated, there is no further cultivation.
So now, full stop. My talk. No questions.
Three people with microphones down each of the aisles. If you'll raise your hand, a microphone will hopefully appear within a few seconds. So if you have a question for His Holiness, please raise your hand. There's a question right on the first row. Could we?
Your Holiness, my name is
Not
Vinita.
necessarily. Stand.
My name is Vinita Agarwal, and whenever we see you and we think of you, you're emanating compassion and kindness, unlimited compassion. I want to know how to share your pain.
동네.
경우는 제 공에 남기
제주.
코나서 있는 동생 염주 제도 요스 답시 간데 요스. 경우는 저 가디네 시험 시험 제도
그래서.
이제 공에 요레스 민드나 제도 공에 코나 동생 염주.
These days, immediate problem is my knee. So, if you can take pain here, most welcome. Mental level worry, anxiety, I have to find my own way. Yes? I think with help of Buddha's teaching, with help of Nagarjuna sort of teaching, there are sort of wise sort of counsel such as Loka, wise counsel, immense help, and Shanadevas, immense help. So some anxiety, some worry, even some irritation, sometimes come, but very quickly disappear. So basically, my mind calm. So, as I mentioned this morning, I advised my sort of driver, at least 6 hours should sleep. Right? My own case, 9 hours, or sometimes 10 hours. 10 hours, too much. What do you think? So like that. So it is good. It's good, like that. Next question.
Thank you so much.
I think there, one lady. Then go like this. No.
Very basic question of Buddhism, which you have been talking about to analyze and question. So the question is, what proof is there of rebirth?
I already mentioned the law of causality. And among the causes, substantial causes and
cooperative
causes. So substantial causes, physical level, is own continuation of physical. Mental level, mental phenomena, is own continuation, same nature. I already mentioned this morning. So that's mean not to go to Namdi Namshi member, Namshi Nyeli member Chian, Drup Chen, Namshi Lia, Namshi member, Namshi Nyeli Marisonva. Dagan is a kapha Dwapa Duriche. Sugzen member Sugzenji, Nyeli member Chian, Drup Lup Tugman or somewhat.
In Brahmana Vatika, there is a line which says that something which is non-conscious can never become the substantial cause of a consciousness. So His Holiness also want to use this metaphor to say that something which is non-physical can never become the substantial cause of something which is substantial or physical.
That is the main sort of reasons. Yes, you have to think. No, that's one thing. Then other factors. There are people. At least I also met. At least I think 15, 20 cases. Young boys and girls, including 2 Indian girls, one from Patiala, one from Kanpur, very young, extremely sort of clear memory about past life. The girl in Kanpur, when I met that girl, 4 years old, both cases, their previous life, girl, student, so all certain, this is an uncertain sort of,
All of a sudden.
because of the untimely death. So seems their memory, their brain, very much sort of because of the alerted at a young age. Older one seems to see, and also that way death very certain. I think long illness, old age, they gradually, I think the power of the memory somehow, little sort of, within this lifetime, within sort of reduce.
Declines.
So seems to see more difficult. It seems. So if you want to carry memory next life, then better to die early age. Including myself. So that girl, Kanpur, her memory about past life is so convincing. The previous sort of girls, or say
Parents.
2 parents, fully sort of convinced their previous sort of daughter's sort of life, or reincarnation, rebirth. So that girl, 4 parents, parent this life, parent previous life. Then also the Patiala girl, I think when I met, 16. So recently I tried to contact. So I got some sort of information or some sort of response. And then among Tibetan, the awesome that the 친구도 하던 간주 지고 투쟁 가자.
Going to Sri
투쟁 스님 가. 괜찮은 스님 가다 영시 보고디 랑 several share to me. Yeah, 어쩌다 his same sort of college. We all know the previous sort of monk, good scholar, very good scholar, very good monk. So after a few years, one boy in Lhasa insists, I want to go to India, my monastery in India. Much insist. So then 2 parents, and anyway, they want to come to India, so they
brought him.
Brought, you see, that boy, and reached Dharamsala. That boy say, no, this is not my place. My place is South India. Then eventually they reached South India. The Monkot. Then they insist, my monastery is there, the Kandan monastery, and Shartha college. Finally, that young boy lead their parent to previous room where he lived. Finally reached there. And then young boy say, on that box, my glass there. Then open, there's glass. So this is fact. So, because there is something to remember, so this memory come. And also, a few years ago, I saw one documentary film. I think because of the interview and some children in Lebanon. The parent Muslim. So as a parent, a little bit sort of confused what the child is saying, their previous life. Some may be true, some may not be, but like that. Then, my own case, the great 14th Dalai Lama. When I was very young, say 2 years, 3 years, according to my mother, quite sort of clear, some indication which the local villager never experienced, but I expressed that. And then one important, the search party, delegation, search party, reached my home. I identify each person's name, their rank, like that. So now today, even what happened yesterday, sometimes it's difficult to remember. That, I think, most cases, now like that young boy, nowadays, no longer any sort of expression of past life. I think that also is, we can explain. The brain, new body, just at the beginning, just growing, then still the past memories influence, still more fresh. Then, year by year, this brain further develop, then the past memory, then diminishing. Unless you make some effort of meditation and sharpening our mind through meditation. Then, some my friend, after their meditation, then memory about past life. Not very clear, but some memory, you see, comes. At least, I think, 3, 4, my friend. They actually have this kind of experience. These are because of the factor, proof factor, like the witness. Then, another sort of phenomena. After death, this is now quite common now among Tibetan. Perhaps I think some other people also, I think usually within few hours, sometimes it's burned, sometimes put in coffin. Right?
Coffin. No, put it coffin.
Otherwise, I think there is possibility, remain body very fresh. So Tibetan case, since we have that kind of sort of also the tradition or understanding about that, so therefore, I think last 50 years, at least, I think 30 cases after death, their body remain very fresh. 1 week or 5 days, 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, like that. So, including my own tutor, senior tutor, after death, the physician come and check whether that really is dead or not. They clinically dead. But then body, without any sort of chemical thing, body remain very fresh next 13 days. Then one great scholar, as well as a great sort of practitioner, actually one head of Yellowhead sect, Chido Kuzere,
Yeah.
100th sort of Kandechiva.
Throneholder of Throneholder of Geluk sect. Kan dit wel eens?
Oh, let of that.
the 100th representative of Tsongapa's tradition, the head.
Oh. So his case, after death, clinically dead. Then I think after 5 days, I received that information. His body still remained fresh. So we usually call tuktam. So then I immediately sent a signal to our clinics in Dharamsala. They already kept some equipment, carrying some experiment. Because some previous sort of meeting with scientists, this sort of topic discuss. So they develop some interest. So they left some equipment to dead bodies, sort of had some wires like that. So then immediately, with that equipment, and I think 1 or 2 people went there and put all the wires on his head. Then next, I think 18 or 19 days remain very fresh. So now some scientists begin to interest. So recently, after our annual meeting or conference, one scientist actually is the one to hearing those witness. I think at least 10 persons who actually witness different cases of Tudam. So we already have some sort of project scientifically carry more research. To scientists, so far no answer. But it's a phenomenon, it's a fact. So we have to find explanation. Then one strange thing, again last year, when I visit New Zealand, mainly because of the Christchurch earthquake, I went there, my condolence and some prayer. So when I reached there, one Tibetan Lama, I know him, already, I think, 4 days already passed, already because of that.
After
died. But his body remained fresh. The local doctor, I think in the hospital. So it's a doctor. You see, have to get some sort of permission from doctor. You can keep that dead body. So doctor check, and that body, the doctor agree now very fresh. So leave it. So then I think after five days, then one night, that dead body previously remained like this. Then the 5th night, I think 5th night or 4th night, the left hand, so this finger, tightly, because the hold by right hand. So very tight. So I express, oh pity, you should keep a movie camera 24 hours, then know the movement, how develop. So pity. They never sort of put that camera. In fact, the dead body, after 4 or 5 days, then move that hand and go like that, and very tight. That I think remain 11 days or 12 days, like that. So we need some explanation. From Buddhist viewpoint, grosser level of mind cease because brain work cease. As soon as the heartbeat stop, the blood circulation to brain cease. So within short period, brain die. So the grosser level of mind already dissolved. But subtle mind, there. Now I think too much, but I think one further explanation. The head of Mongolian Buddhist, Jibjun Thamba. I know very well since childhood. I think when I was about, I think, 12, 13, he already 15, like that. So I know since childhood. So recently, the Tibetan New Year, this Khaziri, the
22nd.
the beginning of January, right? Oh no.
22nd February.
February, I received information. He very, very sick, very serious. The Mongolian doctors is already expressed. Now he cannot remain. Now only number of days he will die. And then I received one message from him. Asked me where he should die, Mongolia or in India, and when should die. I also answer, or you should die in Mongolia, and time not end of the Tibetan year, but New Year. That's the time to die, time of death, die. He acted exactly that. As soon as my message is received, his body becoming more fit. Then exactly Tibetan New Year, 8th Tibetan New Year.
8th day of Tibetan New Year. No, 22nd. 30th Chegro.
Oh yes, I think March 1st.
1st March.
I think 1st March. So then, in
1st March.
early morning, he inquired to his entourage, now this is time to go. Then the entourage, I know, that also I know very well, one good Lama, Veserimchi, Sao Vese. Vese, that is entourage, right? That monk, you see, thought, he asking, moving another room. Then he answered, yes, this is the right time. Then he died. Then I received, within, I think 1 hour, I received message. He died. So his body remained very fresh. Then I asked, yes, keep them, keep that. Then I immediately sent my representative, Professor Samdormchi, I sent, with one scarf. Then, I think, I think in any way, I think after 4 days, the very day my representative reached there, afternoon, long flight from India. So that morning, some indication, some liquid come from his mouth. But then that Lama asked me, now should start certain sort of
Rituals.
certain sort of work, certain preparation, put sort of his body, sort of not fire, remain like
Preserved in a crystallized form.
Oh yes. So there are a little bit hurry. Then I sort of carry some investigation. It seems better to wait till my sort of envoy reached there. So the Professor Samdormji reached around local time around 4, reached there. Then put scarf, which I sent, put on his sort of head. Then within short period, then go like that. So these are quite strange, isn't it? These are mysterious things. I think open-minded scientists, I think a lot of work to further investigate these things. So already now started. Now last almost now 40 years, I start some serious sort of the discussion with scientists. And then I develop really my admiration. Those genuine scientists, their mind open and skeptical. They're ready to investigate. And their attitude very objective. Sometimes I think the religious people, some way fixed in our mind. They are really open, wonderful, and very, very unbiased. One time, great physicist, the Chilean physicist, one time, you see, at our meeting, expressed, the quantum physicist, but he should not develop attachment towards his own scientific field. That's wonderful. That moment I learned, I am Buddhist, I should not develop attachment towards Buddhism. Once attachment comes, then one's mind becomes biased. With biased mind, cannot see the objectivity. So the scientists, their mind very open, those scientists. Some Russian scientist, 1979, still Soviet Union. I met some scientist, Russian scientist. As usual, I refer the different sort of mental level, sensorial consciousness, and sixth mind. Then immediately they rejected, sixth mind. I think they interpreted soul. So they immediately, this is religious matter. So no room to discuss. So this, sometimes you say, I felt the totalitarian regime scientists, their mind also more or less fixed. In the Chinese case, I think Chinese scientists should be absolute loyal to party. So their scientific mind no longer there. Difficult, isn't it? So in any way, so these are the, the field. So therefore, now scientists, number of scientists, really expanding the scientific field. Previously, only matters can measure, can calculate. The mind, not like that. So now they are sort of research field now expanding. So I really hopeful. Now within next few decades, I think modern science really cover all different phenomena. Then modern science truly become complete form of Kasota research work. Very, very good. Yeah, next question. Oh.
Your Holiness.
Please sit.
Okay. This is related to what you've just been saying. Also in the morning, you mentioned quantum physics, where we find that mind and matter are not entirely independent. When scientists try to look for particles, the interaction of the subject with the object is important.
Right.
So does this mean, sir, that matter also, therefore, has some level of consciousness? Because if matter did not have some level of consciousness, how could consciousness interact with matter? In other words, maybe matter has a lower level of consciousness, so my consciousness can affect that consciousness. Otherwise, two completely separate things. One subject, which is mind, and matter, which has no mind. But in quantum, there is no matter independent of mind. when I try to measure light as a particle or as a wave, depending on how I wish to measure it, light behaves as a particle or as a wave. So matter must therefore have some level of mind, so
That's
that
a
there's
new
interaction.
theory now. New theory. Not only existence of mind in body, but also matters also some kind of mind. That's something new theory. Now here, the point is, the things does not exist objectively or independently. So much, finally, the reality of the object is mental designation. Right?
Mentally designed,
Yeah.
designated.
So therefore, the identity of the object very much depend on mental subject side. So the phenomena we call semi-pembos.
Mind and the non-conscient, mind and matter, sorry.
Mind, matter, no mind. But the connection, now here, Chitta Mantra, mind only school of thought, they try to investigate what the object they can't find. So they finally, because they believe existence must be objectively, therefore, when we investigate the objective
Object.
Oh,
External object.
we can't find. So, conclusion, mind only. No external thing. External things appears existence of externally. That's illusion. That's ignorance. Mind only school of thought. Say that. Now Madhyamika, Prasankika say, no. Things, external things, does exist. But that existence ultimately mental designation. So if you investigate the existence of the object side, you can't find. That does not mean non-existence. Existence there, only sort of the mental designation. And then the one serious question is, if I sort of designate where, designate this leaf, then that the 남도 강 소속스러워 있는 체들에
So if
남도 딱고 마도 맵세 또배 딱고 마도 맵세 또배 강 소소이 맵세 또배 강 소는 체다래.
So we should make a distinction between mental designation and just mental design, something to design and then the object should exist. It's not like that. So objects do exist, but the manner in which they exist is mentally imputed. That doesn't mean that whatever is mentally conceptualized should be there.
So the existence of this page, if I analyze the color of this page, not page, the shape of the page, not the page, then the shape and color of what? The page. Then what is page? We cannot find. This part, this part, this part, this part. No. So because of the smallest sort of particle level, we can't find. So objectively it does not exist, but designated by subjectively. And not only that, if only that way, then I can call this also paper. That designated but not materialized, cannot materialize, right?
No.
So the other factor, mentally designated, but at the same time, no contradiction with under sort of
It should be meant. It should be like conventional known, and but it should also be free from other contradiction from other conventions.
this way.
No.
this paper, this machine, both designated by subject side. But if I call this, consider this paper, that actually both does not exist objectively. But if I call this paper, then another sort of mind, re-examine, then I know this is not paper. Or ask third person, contradictory. So that's the valid. 다 타니베 세면 너버 예미가 타네. 아니 따셔버티 validity mean that 이건 그렇게.
So
Objectively shall have match.
objectively things doesn't exist, but the manner in which they exist should also be free from other contradictions.
로 this 참아리 로 신지로 그래서 objectively shall have match.
So whether or
다
not,
퍼져드네. 참아시 유네 많이 그때는 시작하지.
so whether or not a mind is valid cognition or not cannot be determined by from the side of the object, but it should be determined by saying that it is free of any other contradiction from any other convention. And since it is convenient and it is mentally designated and is free from other convention, therefore we can establish the mind perceiving this as such to be valid.
So there now the very very subtle level, like the very big, and also the these masters also is find a difficult distinction. Unless you say something must exist objectively, otherwise become nihilistic view.
Nihilistic view.
Now the Buddha Palita and the Chandrakirti make very clear, objectively nothing does exist. But things exist with force of mental designation, with help of other sort of
Factors. But without being contradicted by other minds, valid minds.
So mikde shik sajoda. Mikbe tasu shik.
Maybe there's
Shik.
Boshika shik. The destruction of the object of the mind.
Now, for example, when I meditate about this sort of the shunyata, first we investigate, then further. Now, for example, I, self, investigate, analyze. Then finally, from that viewpoint, nothing. But that does not mean nothingness. But because you investigating whether there is existence from objectively or not. So since it does not exist by objectively, so from that 가서다 내시가 디기 딱준 최에 로 디기 내물라 가야 매도 차.
So the so to the mind which try to analytically pinpoint a concrete independent object. So to that mind, there isn't any the findability of a concrete focus. That doesn't mean that the object doesn't really exist. It's only that it doesn't exist according to the analysis as carried by the one which try to pinpoint a concrete object.
So in the phenomena, it's a two aspect.
So there are, so based on the appearances of the appearance to the mind, there are two ways of establishing phenomena. One is the established phenomena, and the other one as the negative phenomena.
Now here, absence of elephant is exist because we can understand no elephant here. So non-existence of elephant is exist here. But that understanding entirely depend the some knowledge about elephant. The negation.
No,
Kakpati.
no, negation.
So the absence of elephant, that phenomena, in order to understand that, chik kabe kwane shekwaji.
To understand one aspect of the phenomena, it can only take place when you establish the existence of the phenomena by negating something.
Now within negation, two types. For example, no elephant but. Then there's although negation, but some hint, there's some other. No elephant but. Although no elephant, then elephant kawarwa. Kawarite kabe shukru shindaji.
So even though the existence of the elephant is negated, implicitly it implies that something else exists, the non-existence of the elephant. So by negating something, it actually gives rise to an implicative understanding of the existence of something else.
So now negation. Therefore, within negation, two types. One, absolute negation, the mega.
So the non-implicative non-affirming negative, and one is affirming. So non-affirming negative.
So although no elephant, mahinga che. Mahinga.
Affirming.
Anjada mindus.
Affirming negative. Mahinga.
Yeah, let's translate. I don't know.
Mahinga zu pengoro. Affirm. Okay, sorry. So in that, something else is affirmed. So it's like implicative negative, where by negating something, you still get to understand the existence of something else. So that's affirmative negative. And
now shunyata is just nothing. Nothing sort of absolute, so negation.
Yeah. So non-affirming negative. So where you do not postulate the existence of something by negating. You just negate, and there isn't any postulation of the existence of something else.
So when mind concentrate through analytical sort of meditation, finally you find nothingness. That does not mean nothing at all.
Complete absence.
Relatively, things exist due to other factor, not independently. Independent existence, when you investigate, nothing. Like empty space, just space. So that understanding, direct opposition about grasping ignorance. Grasping ignorance where? Like that. Then some experience about that familiar. Then when, for example here, when I look at you, it appears everybody exists by itself, independently. I never feel my own designation. But then remember the previous sort of experience through analytical meditation. Then you get understanding. Yes, it appears independently existence, but reality, none independent existence. And then understand
illusory like.
Illusion.
Illusion-like, yeah. Illusory nature of the object, deceptive nature.
It exists, it appears, but not as exists the the reality, like that. So that immense help, because of the counterforce, anger. One American scientist, kasa kong mind, and me lung labe kaduria.
And Paul Ekman.
Not Paul Ekman. Another sort of American scientist.
An independent.
When I met his age, 84, I met in the Kasa Dere. Kare. That means to Ting No. I met Stockholm in Sweden on brief meeting. He mentioned when we develop anger, the object, you see, appears very, very negative. Actually, 90% of that negativeness is mental projection. He's not Buddhist, scientist, and such old person. Several years his research, then he concludes that way. So that's exactly Nagarjuna state that. So once we know, the negative thing appears something solid, something really very bad, independent, our anger becomes very strong. Once we realize, appears like that, actually not that kind of solid. Much about my own mental projection, just disseminated. Then the intensity of anger reduces. Some meaning, some sense? Yes, now next question. Oh, now already 5. About time, my tea. Okay. One question. Now here. Okay. Then of course tomorrow also we have time. No. Yes? Yes.
It's a slightly different question. Your teachings are always very aesthetically organized.
Karsa.
Aesthetically, very beautifully organized. There's great care taken to make. So I wanted to get your views on beauty. Do you think there is such a thing as inner beauty? Or is it just an external perception, projection? And
These decoration, not according to my sort of instruction. Many years ago, at that time, you see, Thai government not yet established diplomatic relation with People's Republic of China. So I'm quite free, go there. Since then, no longer possible, go there. So one time, the one island in southern Thailand, the Silingsat, Suvarnadriba, one island. The Kong Santa Karsa. One great sort of Buddhist monk, scholar, as well as a great practitioner. Buddhadasa. When I visit his place, his sort of place, he usually give Buddhist sort of lecture in sort of quite thick forest, in the center, on flat stone, nothing else. So he gives teaching from that. I very much attracted. One time in France, one Tibetan Buddhist organization decorated this kind of sort of Buddha painting. Actually, I request, please remove this Buddhist painting. One Buddhist painting here, okay, as an object offering.
No.
But these Buddhist painting, something like decoration.
So if we leave decoration out, do you think there's such a thing as inner beauty?
No. 직진 체계.
Inner beauty yours. Is there any?
영만이 뭐 뒤타서로 지대시계로.
These are a part of worldly pursuits, actions of worldly pursuits. The 8 worldly pursuits where you only do them in order to acquire.
But again, it depends on motivation. Raja Marotara, of course, long time friend. So I don't.
The maybe your ways.
Correct.
Chilogi, the decoration maybe.
What was your
inner
question?
beauty.
I'm saying forget
Inner beauty.
inner beauty. Do you,
The your
Oh yes, yes.
do you think
Then-
there is something like inner beauty?
Oh yes, yes, yes. I have a lot of things to say that. Particularly, I often see telling girls, young women, they spend a lot of money for external beauty, cosmetic way.
Cosmetics.
But real attraction ultimately come from inner beauty. Just external beauty, on the basis of external beauty, marriage, then internal ugliness come. Then within few days, quarrel, the divorce. Here I have one beautiful story. In early 70, one Tibetan monk official, wonderful person. So eventually he disrobed. So he married one woman, not that much sort of attractive. So then I tease him, oh, your wife, not that much attractive. Then his answer, yes, external, not that much, but internal, very beautiful. Then I have no further argument. So internal beauty is warm-heartedness and respect others. No sort of, desire, cheating, or sort of hypocritical way, truthful, honest. These are inner beauty. So inner beauty really create good karma. External beauty, just more attraction, sensorial sort of attraction. Good? I think now time to finish. Stop. So see you again tomorrow. So please think more the thing which I already mentioned. So bring some questions tomorrow.